Well, there's perhaps no place in Winnipeg to enjoy a sunset quite like the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, with its large windows and high ceilings. Now, Sound Lounge Events is adding to the experience by placing musical acts in the Garden of Contemplation to provide ambience to the warm atmosphere of spring. This weekend, that ambiance is being provided by saxophonist and loop artist Alex Maher, who joins us in the Classic 107 studios to tell us more about this performance. Nice to see you, dude.
Nice to see you, Nolan.
So, first of all, maybe you can walk us through some of the brass tacks. What will this performance of yours look like in the Garden of Contemplation?
So I'm being teamed up with a lineup of awesome DJs as well, and as a loop artist, getting included in an EDM lineup is always an incredible honor. Like, I love that I'm on anyone's radar in that world.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, what I do is very, digital and electronic and beat oriented and stuff. Sometimes it just, as a loop artist, they don't know what to think, right? But yeah, it's gonna be so cool, and my set's gonna be kind of basically an hour-long DJ mix almost. I'm trying to DJ mix as much as I can, although I don't always seamlessly match all the beats in and out of each song, because they don't all fall on the same tempo, right? So
Sure.
I guess it's gonna be like an hour-long set of my favorite up-tempo songs that have like some originals and some remixes in there as well. A lot of remixes, I gotta say. And it's gonna be a gradual climb from, my sort of mid-ish high-tempo selection, like around 106. I think it's gonna start around 106 or 107, and then the last song is gonna be up around 127 or something like that. So
Okay, so I mean, we're moving into that sort of allegro territory, to use the classical terminology.
There it is.
There it is. How does the environment of that Garden of Contemplation, a place that really does invite these slower tempos in around that 105, 106 beats per minute range, how do you think that environment is going to shape the way that you put together that hour's worth of music?
I think that any venue kind of brings out a performance in an artist that gets to play at it. Anything from the Commodore Ballroom to like Red Rocks or the Gorge in George. Like there's venues that have an energy to them, and so I've been in that room, and I just know that it's such a cool, serene environment, and to put cool music in there, and it's going to be a special experience.
So I would imagine, because of all of the energy that you put into your performances, and Winnipeg music fans who've been around have seen you now perform in a variety of venues and maybe know this sort of high energy that you show in these performances, it's going to be maybe a little bit different in an environment like a Garden of Contemplation, where perhaps the movements take place in a little bit of a slower, sort of a more curated ambiance fashion. Do you think that that's going to be a thing that you consider then?
I think it'll be an underlying theme just based on the name of the room and the vibe of the room being based on that, Like, I think that there's, like, I'm already contemplating my set right now, just talking about it. Like, I'm like, man, what transitions? I'm going to basically use as many of my quick transitions in and out of songs at those tempos that I have in my arsenal, and just try to like make it flow. One thing that this is a weird kind of a nerdy thing to talk about, but like once you hit a certain BPM and then you try to drop in a song that's at a slower BPM, you really have to add a dramatic transition into that, and make it something more presented. Because if you just automatically go from 115 to 107 or 109,
that's noticeable.
It's noticeable, and it kind of like, if the song is good for it, then yes. But like, I've done it by accident sometimes, and then I'm like, oh, I kind of just took the wind out of my own sails.
Right.
BPM-wise. Yeah.
And it takes that energy, your own energy, to then bring that, to make that jump then as a performer. And the energy that you show in a performance, again, for people who have seen you around town, like, it is quite involved. You're playing the saxophone, you've got your drum pads, you have various keyboard elements, and you're singing on top of all that usually. How do you think that you're able to then keep up the actual physical stamina that it takes to be a looping artist if you are having to very literally contemplate your energy and the space that you're in?
I think the contemplation is going to happen live, more in the realm of like my sax solos, which I try to place as many as possible in my set.
Well,
but yeah, I like the exploratory nature of soloing. I think over the set is going to be a thing, and like vocally too. I don't really improvise as much vocally live. I guess I do just as far as attack, but like it's that will definitely have to be part of the essence of what happens.
Totally. The other element of energy, it occurs to me, that will be confronted in the Garden of Contemplation this weekend will be a difference in maybe feeding off of an audience that's responding to your usual energy, but this audience is coming in to a Garden of Contemplation as well, and perhaps won't be as reciprocating in their energy levels. How do you think your relationship with people who come to experience this event will change compared to what you normally perform?
I think that's a great point, and being prepared for that as well. Like you go to an EDM curated event like this, and you're not really expecting anything outside of the realm of dance party.
Yeah,
and like this is going to be a dance party, but it's in the Garden of Contemplation, so I have to be ready for the contemplative vibe as well. So yeah,
so much that's like, as you're speaking, it's striking how much is left to the imagination, or how much will be left to the moment. And that's something that we encounter less often here in the Classic 107 studios. What sorts of skills do you need to hone as a musician to be able to be responsive to the situation, as opposed to very specifically curating a situation, as we do with concerts presented, for instance, by the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, or perhaps the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, or something like that?
Yeah, that's a huge factor, and you have to be ready for not what you expected energy-wise from the crowd. And I think that actually, like my recent gig in Mexico at this resort I was playing at, is a perfect example of how to be able to execute without getting a lot back. Like sometimes I do get a lot back at that gig, but sometimes it's like, wow, you have to be conscious of your volume.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to be an issue at this thing. I think that we're going to be allowed to pump as much as we want. This is for that. But that being said, like, I mean, I have another thing later in the month at the Sea Bears game, and like, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to hear myself in the stadium with my little monitor. So earphones, like a lot of artists use in-ear monitors to just have their safe mix locked in. For the sax, it just has never worked over the years to use in-ears. So I kind of started using headphones at my gig in Mexico because it's kind of a resort restaurant sort of ambient. It's ambient. It's an ambient gig, but I'm still doing my material just at like not a concert volume, but it's a concert volume in my headphones. You can guarantee. So like that's where that comes from.
Yeah, there's a lot left to then sensation in an environment like playing in an arena at a Sea Bears game, where you can't trust maybe your own ears just by themselves, given how much space there is for sound to travel. And I would imagine, given the nature of the Human Rights Museum being these high ceilings that we described in the intro, something also that you have to then contend with. What do you hope the audience takes away from this experience at the Human Rights Museum? I wouldn't even know if it's like how to describe it properly, because it could be ambient, but maybe the audience is giving you something else that you then have to respond to.
My job is to, melt faces. So maybe like a contemplative face melting vibe is what I'm going for.
All right. Contemplative face melting. Say no more. This event taking place on May the 17th at 8:30 in the Garden of Contemplation. The doors are going to close, though, at 8:15 so that people can enjoy the experience in full. Tickets and more information available at our website, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app. Alex Maher, thanks so much for telling us about this really unique and really cool concert.
Thanks for having me, and thanks so much from Sound Lounge as well.